各位央视频网友，大家好！我们流动的海外咖啡馆今天又营业了。我是央视频记者王斌，
我是央视频记者朱乃征。今天呢，我们带大家
Of
去
the
上海的
mobile cafe shop. We are journalists from China Media Group, and today we're gonna bring you to the alleyways of Shanghai. We're gonna bring you closer to the paper cutting handicraft in Shanghai, and we're gonna bring you more Shanghai culture. We have another colleague who is joining us, and later we'll give you more detailed information about the traditional Shanghai dress. So if you can use one word to describe Shanghai, what would that word be? Well, depending on what you're talking about. In Shanghai, I have smelled a lot of cafe shops. Statistics show that Shanghai has the most cafe shops in the whole world. So it's number one. I believe that in Shanghai, you can smell this very strong smell of sweet-scented osmanthus. It's just very relieving. Each time I smell this, I feel that I'm just in the southern part of the country. I like osmanthus too, and I bought a lot of osmanthus powder myself, and this is the distinct smell in Shanghai. And talking about food, what comes into your mind first? Well, the typical Shanghai food, I think it's a little bit sweet because I'm from the north part of China. I like the cold dishes of Shanghai, the dim sums and desserts. I like the typical Shanghai rice that is made in a pudding with sugar coat, so it's very sweet. Well, what comes to my mind is the Shanghai fried crab, because autumn or the days before winter is the best season for crab. When you cut the crab into two pieces, and you can see those yellow meat of the crab, and it's just delicious. And also we have the puddings of crab, and also those the locals call it the drunken crab. So we just had lunch. I believe most of our viewers have just had lunch, so let's not talk about food right now. And talking about Shanghai, there are a lot of coffee shops, and coffee is something we brought from overseas, and Shanghai is truly a very diverse, inclusive, and international city. Over the past 2 days, and we have been talking about this Shanghai style. So the Shanghai style is the local style we are having here right now. It integrates the local culture as well as international culture, and we have been talking about Shanghai style. We talked about its architecture style, and also those stone arc. You can see a lot of arc-shaped building in front of doors, and it's quite unique in Shanghai, and it's quite European style. It also combines with the local architecture style here in Shanghai, and this stone arc door can be best found in Tianzifang. So this is our first stop today. So in Tianzifang, I was in Shanghai a couple of years ago, and I visit this Tianzifang place quite often, and it's quite different from those other commercial streets. It's also quite humanistic, and it's also quite artistic. You have a lot of galleries, a lot of paper cutting workshops, and it's similar to Beijing's 798. It's very narrow alleyway, and it's very natural, very down to earth, very close to people's lives. So Tianzifang is truly a very unique place. So talking about trips to Shanghai, and what comes to your mind in the first place? Well, the Bund area
我先说个感受吧，我觉得上海这座
is definitely a place to go. What about you?
来到这里，幼小的我来说
Well,
是一种灵魂上的震
on
荡。
a general
就
level,
是那种我不
I
相信
believe
居然有一个
Shanghai
南方城市
is
这么大
truly
这么好。
an astonishing place, and I couldn't believe that there is a southern city in China that could be so big and so international. And you know, I come from the northern part of the country, and I never anticipated that there could be such a modern metropolis in the southern part of the country. And you know, between those alleyways and also the metropolitan part of the city, you can see no barrier. Wherever you go, each corner you turn, there is a good scenery, and they merge and converge so well with one another. In Shanghai, the alleyways are very narrow and small, and even walking on the street of Shanghai in summer, you won't feel the scorching heat because you are always walking in the shade. And also the girls here, they're just very delicate and gentle. The same goes to the senior citizens, and if you walk them, if you see them walk on the street, and you can feel the decades of history that they have witnessed. And also in Shanghai, you can see a lot of old sisters and walking together as close friends, and they travel and they sit down in a tea shop, and it's truly very romantic. So here we are at the Tianzifang.
其实你看，我们这边它很多都是单行线，
对，比较狭窄。哎，看我们已经到了。
So a lot of these are one-way streets. So this is where we are right now, and this is the Taikanglu 220 alleyway. It's not number 21, number 210 of street. It's not a street, it's an alleyway, and this is called the Tianziwei. In Beijing, we would call it Hutong, but here in Shanghai, they call it Nongtang. So this is the main alleyway in Tianzifang. In 1998, this place was not like this. So what was it like in 1998? So in 1998, this was like a bazaar. It's a place filled with a lot of street vendors. But right now, you can see that on both sides of the street, you can see a lot of workshops, boutique stores, and cafe shops. Well, this is due to the renovation of the government, and traditionally, whenever it rains, the road becomes muddy. Right now, on both sides of the street, you can see a lot of flowers, a lot of boutique shops. It's very romantic. Behind us, you can see those lanterns and lamps hung up in air. At night, it's just very romantic. So you mentioned the word lantern, and this reminds me of the paper cutting pieces that people stick to windows during Spring Festival. Well, it reminds me of what we are seeing today, and we are going to visit a master of paper cutting in 2019 at the second CIIE at the exposition of the non-tangible cultural heritage. I met her, and I also met her master, and they were having a competition at the China International Import and Export Exposition. As you know, that the CIIE was between 5th to 10th of November. I remember that she wrote something for us. She wrote that I wish China Media Group a great success. So that was 2 years ago. So now, after 2 years, we're gonna visit Shi Yi and Liu Shoubai, and they're gonna tell us more about paper cutting. And this is truly like passing down this art from one year to another. So, what is your general feeling about paper cutting? Well, take a look at her hand, and it's very skilled. So I grew up in northeastern part of China. My grandma used to teach me paper cutting, and we did some paper cutting, and we stick them to the windows. And in the winter, when it snows, it's truly very beautiful. And as a kid, all we dreamed of was toys to play, delicious food to enjoy. And growing up, I don't feel very familiar with these paper cutting skills because I don't quite see them often. So today, we're going to have a close contact with paper cutting. It's so reminiscent of the life we had as a child. So she was a Generation Z, and she was born in the 1990s. She's still very young, and just imagine what kind of paper cutting pattern or styles she might come up with. Well, while walking and talking, the shop is right in front of us. All right, let's turn the camera a little bit, and this is the workshop of her paper cutting skills. So you should not. All right, we should save some time, and she's right here greeting us. Good afternoon, nice to see you again. Good afternoon, my name is Li Shi. I'm the CEO of this shop. So we're gonna borrow a couple of minutes. So maybe can you introduce your shop to us? No problem, with great pleasure. Coming to Shanghai, you have to take a look at those stone arc gate. And let me show you one. It's a smaller one, but it's handmade. It's a miniature of the stone arc gate. The Shoubai Arts Workshop was founded by Li Shoubai, our master. Over the past 10 years, we have been thinking of how to draw relations with the Shanghai style. We know that the stone arc gate is quite representative of the Shanghai culture. So this was done 10 years ago, and it's just a miniature. You can take a look at the details. For example, we have an entrance, and this is just quite similar to this arc that you saw at the entrance. And traditionally, at the entrance, there could be a lot of scattered goods. It's oftentimes a building with a couple of stories. So can you tell us what is more stone gate? Well, we have done our homework, and stone gate is one with a stone frame and with some wooden structures. In the past, it was really like this. With the passage of time, the style evolved into this. There are some Western style, and we simply call it Shiku gate. Well, at different places, the style might be different. And there were styles in the 18th century. And there were also Roman-style columns from the period of Greece. I have noticed a lot of details, for example, those bacon meat that you hang outside your window, and also if you look further up, you can see those fantastically decorated window, and at the roof, the locals spell the Chinese word of roof truly like the English pronunciation of roof. My father, he said that his bedroom is just at the second floor, and he said that when he wakes up in the morning, he he cannot sit uptight immediately because the roof is very low. So also take a look at the shop outside this stone arch gate. So a lot of the lifestyle of the locals had much to do with the structure of the building. And so this is just a miniature from decades ago, and within a blink of eye, here we are. It's modern times. All right, now let's come in. So this is what we call our living room. As I have explained, we are a representative place of the Shanghai style culture, and 10 years ago, right now at this place, you may have a shoe repairman, but right now the times have changed, and we hope that the Shanghai style life can truly enter the household of each and every family here in Shanghai. Can you spell this? I would spell it as muzi, but the Shanghai local people here call it differently. Over the past 2 years, we truly want to bring the Shanghai style life to each and every household. And we also have the characters of Qiangdiao on this bag. We also have a handrail that is decorated with flower patterns. And also on this purse, we have a character of Dia. I used to have a roommate who is from Shanghai, and she was having this phone conversation with her mother, and I could make no sense at all.
family， 就是这个就是所有的家庭，我们自己的家庭这样的一个概念。对，阿拉上海人，阿拉上海人，哎，对，说的非常好。阿拉东北人，
侬老嗲呀，
侬老嗲个，
侬老嗲个。
然后我们还有特别有趣的，说到嗲这个字儿呢，然后我们其实还有一个非常有意思的点，就是那我们其实不单单是有嗲，我们还有一个字是什么呢？是这个字。这个字你们可以看一下，下面有一个拼音，有个读音。这个字是什么？
夹。
语文的空白了。
夹，
对，夹。
这个是完全发音是非常准确的。然后这个字呢，其实是真的有这样的一个字，是在康熙字典里面那个吴语字体里面，专门有一个这个字，是一个非常难写的一个，就是那个生僻字。 然后，而且它会有非常就是清晰的注解，就是专门是形容就是女孩子，尤其是我们用
A
来说
character
就是
that you
上海
don't see
女孩
often,
子，形容
and
那些
it's
聪明能干的
typical here in Shanghai, and it's used to describe those very smart lady. And Dia is just to describe the appearance of a girl, and Jia is used to describe the inner beauty of a lady. And this is a box inscribed with a painting. You can see this family that's having a dinner together, and so we use this word to describe the local Shanghai style, and everybody knows how to spell it, but a lot of people know how to pronounce it, but few do know how to spell it. So we are incorporating a lot of the Shanghai local dialect on those art pieces. Well, this is quite similar to northeastern part of the country, and we have a lot of adjectives that are unique in our own dialect. And we also have other art pieces, and you can see that they are quite related to the culture of Shanghai, and this is what we call paper sculpture, and this is the Pudong area, and this is the Nanjing Road, and this is the Xibao, and those are the water towns and also those stone arc gates. I also have Wukang building, and you can take a look, and those are very delicate, and you can see that it's very detailed, and it has many different flaws. It's actually a notebook, and you can scrap those pieces of paper, and you can use it as a quick note. So when you are actually using this notebook, it's young, and when you're actually leaving it on the notebook, and it's yin, and this is the combination of yin and yang. And behind this notebook, we have a calendar book, and truly it's very delicate. Well, I'm amazed to see that you have combined this paper cutting technique with those modern tools and notebooks and purses and bags. So come on to this part of the exhibition, you can see that we have some very classic works of paper cutting. Paper cutting is a non-tangible cultural heritage in China, and I would say it's the most preserved. It's the best preserved technique, and because you just need to use a scissor and different sheets of paper. So in Shanghai, the paper cutting is also listed as the non-tangible cultural heritage at the national level. I'm a representative of the Shanghai style paper cutting. I'm an inheritor. I have been creating new pieces of art using paper cutting. Well, on this way here, we were having a conversation, and we believe that you are coming up with art pieces of kids shaking hands. Well, I never imagined that you could come up with pieces of such detail, and it's so vivid. And you can see that you have the patterns of the window, and also you have such details because you're describing those alleyways and streets, and truly this is just awesome and quite amazing. Well, our style is quite different, and we are closer to the Shanghai style. We wanted to become a representative of the city, and you can understand it as a non-tangible cultural heritage in the context of Shanghai as a international metropolis. It's much more modern. It's more related to the modern urban lifestyle, but we're still using paper cutting skills. Well, I think they share one in common. That's all those paper cutting, all the paper cutting pieces. They have a little purse associated, and they also have a cat in it. Why is that? Well, we can hold it for a couple of minutes and I will tell you the answer in the very end. In Shanghai, if you're traveling here, you have to go to Nanjing Road. What impressed you the most in Nanjing Road? Well, there are a lot of the stores and boutique shops. Well, I believe one of the best representatives of the Nanjing Road is its neon light, and so this is why we have the neon light theme here at this part. So here, let me just show you another Shanghai dialect, which is the Shanghai way to say hello to each other. And try this one, please. So Bang Yu is just the Chinese way to say friends. So we just put this here. It actually means hey, you're doing good enough. But it's pronounced like, can you help me? So it's quite different, and it's a Shanghai dialect. For people from outside the city, they may believe that it's something else, but it actually means you're doing excellent enough. So this is one quite unique part of the Shanghai dialect. And also we have dia, which is the word to describe how beautiful a girl is. So this is a place where a lot of the young people come and take a selfie. And this is the place where you can enjoy the beautiful art and also delicious food. Now coming to this part of our workshop, and this is actually the yellow wine in Shanghai. In this box, we have 6 lines of a Shanghai dialect, integrated with 6 different scenery spots in Shanghai. So this is just different lines of Shanghai dialect, and this means change your clothes, and that one means playing mahjong. And so we use a different verb when we say playing mahjong. When the locals say that they are playing mahjong, they say it differently in a Shanghai and dialectic way. And this is playing chess. And this one is for Shanghai for Shanghai girls to taste the crab. So these are the 6 lines, and they do not represent 6 scenic spots in Shanghai, and they are telling you 6 different cultural phenomena or cultural activities in Shanghai. So these sayings, and they are quite related to enjoying the delicious food and also having a party with the yellow wine. So that is why inside this box we have 3 languages, Chinese, English, and Japanese, and this is telling you what time of the year you can enjoy what kind of cultural activity. So we tell you those inside story of those Shanghai dialect, how it got involved, where it was popular, in what context. So this is simply making the Shanghai culture very delicate. And we also have 9 scenic spots in Shanghai inscribed on those wine bottles. That's Yuyuan and Zhuo Temple and Huaihai Road, and also Bond area, and also Nanjing Road. It's a must-go place in Shanghai, and also Pudong New area. This one is the Stone Arc building, and also the Shanghai Expo Avenue. And we have the Stone Arc Gate on this bottle. So these are the 9 scenic spots in Shanghai. And talking about drinks, well, this is the Shanghai steamed buns. And you know that it's not for drink when you put it in your hand, and this is a dumplings with tea fillings. It's quite special, and this is the typical Shanghai style. So we are using the Shanghai element in each and every art piece that we are coming up with, and it's quite related to the lifestyle of Shanghai. And for example, this piece, to cook dumplings, you have to steam it, and that's why we call it up and up by the day. And because the steam goes up, and the Chinese word for steaming is quite similar to the pronunciation of a word of progress. So that's why we call it progress by the day. So this is a typical Shanghai dress. You can see we have 4 representative flowers of the year, lotus and peony. And also in winter, you have those red flowers. So we put all those different flowers of the season on this changsam. You can put it on, and this changsam can tell you the beauties of Shanghai in 4 seasons. Come on here to this part of the workshop. We have a business card of Shanghai. We have 10 pieces. We can show it to our viewers, and these are the architectures of Shanghai, the beautiful scenery on the street, and this is Xintiandi at sunset, and this is the scenery in spring. And also we have this stone arc gate, and this we call it the harmonious sunshine. And also we have a cat here, a couple of cats here actually. So we have a stray cat outside, and this little girl got timid, and then her own pet cat came to her rescue, and it's a very vivid picture. So you paint them by yourself. Well, it's not by me, but it's definitely painted by a master. Take a look at this one, and this is representing a wheel, but here in this photo you can also see a cat. Well, number one, because our master, Mr. Li, truly is a cat lover in Shanghai. A lot of people raise cat as a pet. And for Master Li, he was born in a year of tiger, and in the Chinese culture believes that tiger is the bigger version of cat, and so cat is just like a lady. We are lazy, and when we lose our temper, we can truly be ferocious. So this one is also about Shanghai. So this is truly a long scroll of paper cutting, and the original piece is as long as 17 meters long, and it has won a national award. Take a look at this one. You can extend it to this lens, and I hope that our camera has a lens that can cover the entirety of this scroll. On this scroll, we have more than 1,800 characters, and there are a lot of paintings telling you many different stories of Shanghai. We have altogether 39 songs for the baby, 1,775 characters, 65 animals on this painting scroll. So each and every figure here on this painting scroll has its own movement and facial expressions, and it's very detailed. And this is telling you the typical culture of Shanghai. A lot of that reflects also the dialect of Shanghai. And this is also a non-tangible cultural heritage. And a lot of the folklores are just for children, and this is part of the Shanghai culture. For example, these idioms are very easy to pronounce, and these are just the very typical nursery rhymes in Shanghai. For example, this one is telling you the little kid is very naughty. The little kid is playing muddy puddles in the rain. And let's try another one. Let's see if you can pronounce it. Well, let me show you. This is asking a person, what is your surname? And this one is asking you, what lie did you just made? This one is asking a person, what did you eat for lunch? This one is asking you, what brush did you use? So which mountain? The high mountain. So this is the verbal translation of the dialect of Shanghai that she is showing. So if we speak in a Mandarin, it's quite different. It's a different feeling. So this is just a nursery rhymes for the kids in Shanghai. It's the folklore particularly designed for the kids. So coming to this corner of the workshop, and let me tell you what is a real sense of living room or guest room in Shanghai. So we have seen a lot. We have seen a lot of paper cutting, and we have a coffee that is related to paper cutting. And so this is something that you can truly eat. Behind this stand on the wall, we have a lot of paper cutting works, and also these ones are hung in the air. So these are some of the creative decorations with paper cuttings. And this one here, when the light bulb is in different color, and they can have the color reflected, and it's truly beautiful. And this year is 2021, the centenary of the Communist Party of China. We just worked out 5 lines. China is just like a flower. China is a country at peace with its own people. We live in a prosperous time. So we have 5 colors of papers, and we have 4 lines. So for each color, we have 25 sets. So if you multiply them together, it's 100, and this is the centenary of the Communist Party of China. So truly, it's very related to our times. So Let's sit down here because we have been talking and walking around. So we have two books here
没错，
on the table.
对，
And one is about the transom of Shanghai, and the other is about the stone arc gate. So now, can you tell us more about the transom of Shanghai? Well, see this closely, and this is truly beautiful. Beside this transom, we have a poetic line on the right. So this is the paper cutting coffee, and you can take a look at the pattern on the very top. Just have a dip of the coffee.
一口说词儿啊。
然后不是手机先行吗？
哇，就喝到肚子里。
我们从这儿来，
很好喝，
可以吗？
好喝。
第二杯上来是什么？
So how do you like it?
这就是那只小猫。
It's truly delicious, and this is the
有我
coffee,
叫做克勒猫，克勒猫。上海
on top of which we have a pattern of cat.
是上海的一个。
It's
然后我们刚才其实进门，但是
a particular type of cat, spelled quite differently in
这
Shanghai.
一只猫其实就是我们现在看到的，就是我们这只，它其实是一只头戴这个上海的礼帽。
It's actually a cat with some decorations on its head, and also it has rings.
运动小皮鞋这种感觉。
It also puts on sporty shoes on its feet, and this one has a pattern of a butterfly.
端着一个咖啡的，然后
And just now you saw a lot of paper cutting works. A lot of them have a cat in it,
它代表了我们
and one of them have a cat that is drinking coffee. And this is part of the new generation of culture in Shanghai. It's telling you how paper cutting is being passed down from one generation to another. And we believe the Shanghai local culture has to be passed down from one generation to another. And cat is something that both generations of people love. And cat is actually loved by all the population in China. So that's why in our paper cutting works, we have this beautiful figure of cat in it. So we are making cat the main character
那么克勒猫这个概念
of our storytelling. And this Ke cat is a new IP of cat that our kids, the young people love. So who came up with this idea? You yourself, and you decided to put the cat in it? Yes, because I believe this will be liked by the young people. So you studied overseas, and then you came back to Shanghai, and you become committed to flourishing this Shanghai culture. Yes, I came back to Shanghai in 2015. When I was learning, I spent a lot of time learning arts management. After coming back, I have been thinking, how should I combine the local culture with what I have learned? And I believe it's a great idea to pass down this great culture of Shanghai and also flourish this culture. And we have to spread the local culture of Shanghai. And when more people get to know Shanghai paper cutting, when more people get to know our art, as well as our local dialect, then I believe this culture of Shanghai will become vivid, it will become lively, and it will be able to sustain and survive no matter how the times change. We cannot simply put the Shanghai culture in a museum, because if we do that, the culture will die sooner or later. So how did you come to know the Shanghai culture? Well, it starts from when I was 6 years old, and we are right now the third generation of my family in Shanghai. And my father, originally we actually came from Shaoxing of Zhejiang province. It's a place where the family attaches great importance to the largest son of the family. And so my father was taught paper cutting. He was given a lot of homework. he's a great painter. And my father has one brother and one sister. And my grandfather actually assigned homework to all the three kids. So my father has to help his brother and sister out every day with their homework, and he has to come up with different styles of painting. Then my father told me that my grandfather actually knew, my father was behind the homework of his brother and his sister, and that is why my father is a great artist in painting as well as in paper cutting. So throughout his practice, he got trained this sense of responsibility. When I was born, he gave me a lot of assignments. He doesn't wish that I could, survive with this skill. So when I was born, my father spent a lot of time teaching me. And when I was little, my father was an artist overseas. He seldom came back to China. So my grandfather actually taught me a great deal. And when my father came back, my father was very strict. My father said that you don't need to spend a lot of time learning, but you have to develop an interest and develop some basic skills. And that is his philosophy. For example, we spent truly a lot of time learning how to use a scissor and how to grasp the structures of the paper cutting. And it's quite difficult to imagine right now teaching a 6-year-old how to do paper cutting, 12 animals of the year. It's quite different. And you cannot make the ear too big, otherwise the tail would have no place. And if you have a tail that is too big, then you don't have any extra place for ears. So I remember practicing paper cutting with the homework of 100 tigers. Truly, it's a very boring experience of learning, but right now, in hindsight, this is just like learning piano. For kids, it's very easy for them to give up, but it's only when you're under certain pressure that you can sustain and you can make a difference. So, why you opened a workshop in Tianzifang? We actually started this workshop in 2009. Traditionally, this is the workshop of Chen Yifei. When Mr. Chen Yifei died, no one picked up this workshop. We had our own workshop in 2004. Prior to 2008, we were at Bahaoqiao, and at that time, my father, Mr. Li, was recognized as Mr. Stone Art Gate. And then we received a lot of suggestions that we have to move to the stone art, a stone art gate. So that's why we moved here to Tianzifang. So can we have some hands-on experience of paper cutting? And we are greener on this, and we don't know how well or how bad we will do. I believe we can have some hands-on experience. All right, now let's get ready. Well, you have to be very skilled. You need to coordinate both hands with the scissor. So you can maybe give us some very simple tasks. Well, I want to give you some challenge. Why don't we start with something challenging? Well, this is another very beautiful place of the workshop. What comes to your mind when you see this? Well, this is very Shanghai. This is very Shanghai style, and it's truly reminiscent of those Shanghai girls in the 1930s. And this is the workshop of Mr. Chen, and later it was the workshop of Mr. Li, and now it's just a meeting room. All right. Now let's come on to this part of the workshop, and this is like in exhibition, and it is here that we do a lot of
然后这里呢，其实像看到的也是墙上我们
paper cutting activities, and on this side of the wall you can see some of the representative works of Mr. Li, my father.
只能是彩色的。
So we talked about the Shanghai style paper cutting, and you may believe that all the paper cutting in Shanghai is colorful, but this one is not. This one is only in the color of red, and take a look at the patterns.
这样的一些剪纸的语言，其实它还是
You can see that the artistic language of Shanghai paper cutting is quite different from the traditional paper cutting in China.
你看它没有用
From here you can see the sleeves of
轮廓给它
the two kids, and there are patterns to describe the facial expression.
界形的这样的一个语言。
So we are using a different artistic language. Well, let me ask you, to deliver a work like this, you have to
需要先去
do the sketch drawing first. Yes, definitely you need to come up with the sketch drawing first, and then expand it, and then print it on the mold. All right, I saw
这边的猫很明显。
another cat. The cat here on this painting is more conspicuous.
多就是以前的石库门的，这是金
So we have two cats here, and this is the typical, the most classical stone arc gate. So
形的词，这里面不但有猫，还有狗。
So here in this paper cutting painting, we have a dog, and we have another cat. And take a look at this one. The lady has one of her shoes
这个其实就是好像有茶嘛，等待那个各个
on the ground.
叫什么自己的朋友。
So this is a
宾客来入座，这还两只猫。
just a table for dinner. We have two cats in this one.
也是我们11简的海派咖啡馆的 logo。
All right, now you can see our logo. This is the logo of this program. This is the mobile Shanghai style coffee shop. All right, now we can sit down and have some hands-on experience with the paper cutting.
我先教大家剪一个特别简单的，好吗？好。那首先
Let me show you something very simple. You need to take out your scissor, and you need to hold the scissor this way.
选的一个礼仪。
This is for
然后再来
safety
呢，我们首先我们给大家就是准备了两套，你先
concerns. We have two sheets of paper. Let me use the wrap paper first. So this is just your paper board, and I will show you some basic skills.
你现在真的是徒手剪，你上面什么都没有画，
So
你们上面什么都不给你们画，
right now we have no sketch drawing on the paper. So we just go weld and just
我们做一个，
follow me. Let's fold the paper
然后我问一下，
to make it symmetrical. So we are both
然后剪纸
right-handed,
一个诀窍，
correct?
说你们
Yes.
的时候呢，或者做的
So let me
能不能记得？
make it very simple.
之后你就会发现，永远转的是拿纸的这个手。就你们想，
So you always need to hold the paper with your left hand and use the right hand to hold the scissor. So you have to rotate the paper with your left hand. And also, you may get very nervous towards the very end of paper cutting, and you have to just relax, hold the scissor very stably.
因为这叫对称剪法，所以
So now we're gonna get started because it has to be very symmetrical, and you have to start cutting from the middle line. And also you can fold it again. Just hold it a little bit. Don't leave the mark quite conspicuous, and just to leave a very light mark on the paper. So and this is simply to guarantee the overall structure. And so to start with, you have to cut from here and make sure that the scissors are parallel with the edge of the paper. And so just relax, put your hand on the table. All right,
猫的脑袋往下一点，
just follow me. And this is the head of the panda. We're going to
比较大，到这里差不多到一半的位置，
cut the shape of a panda.
整个纸这样翻上来，
And then
对，反了，对，这样往上翻，好，
put it upside down.
多又大又圆的耳朵，
We're going to cut a giant and round ear of the panda. And now let's come to this point.
可以没事儿，你看你这样子剪过来，对，
So imagine this is you're actually drawing a pattern on this paper,
接下来
and
你看我们在就是完成这条
the only difference is that we're not drawing using a brush, we're drawing with our scissor. So this is the very round and curved head of the pattern, so you have to continue cutting.
好，你这样，那你这样，好好，那你的身体就小一点，OK，好，
All right.
回来好，那你大概到这儿，行。然后我们的外面呢是这样，外面其实是一个3，你看一下啊，我们这里头多少大，你身体也差不多多少大，你这里剪一个，然后
And also you have to cut out the
大一点，然后把它剪断。
body of the pattern and just to go along the line of number 3, and then you will have the general shape of the pattern. Well, that is too much.
当个糖葫芦，
Well, you're just having a much bigger upper body, and this is a little bit like a guard. So,
哎，你就到这儿，到这儿这样子，
all right,
然后记住是平刀入口，哎，平刀。
you have to
对对对，好，
make sure that the scissor is in parallel with the edges of the paper towards the very end. So this is the
开始把它脸部剪出来。
shape of the pattern, and now you have to
我们沿着这个脸部
carve out the
圆的嘛，外轮廓剪到
faces
一半或者下一点，下面一
of
点
the pattern. So you have to go like this.
对对对对对，你要保持一样的粗细，
You have to make sure that the lines
保持一样的粗细，对。
are equally thin or
接下来
thick.
我跟你讲，就是这个方向感。我们说剪纸的时
So
候，
now you need to have a perfect sense of direction, and this is very important. You have to
然后
rotate the paper to the right, to the lower part. It's almost 90 degrees,
剪一个眼睛
and then you need to carve out the
大
eyes.
一点，然后再回来。
Make sure that the eye is just very big, and then you have to
那你现在
go back to where you started.
那先往上，你现在的方向是我先往上，
First, you need to go up,
这个方向剪了以后，
cut towards that direction, and after that, you need to go down. You go up first, and then you go down, and don't be nervous.
这样过来。
眼睛要大一点。
嗯，哎，可以可以，好，回来回到这儿，
Fantastic, and now you need to go back.
回到这儿，
人的形状已经失控了。
Go back to where you started.
好，回到这个旁边，就是你这儿空多少，就差不多你留的一个距离。
So make sure that you leave the same amount of space on both sides,
接下来是这样，我们往里面，
and then you need to go further inside to the central axis.
然后眼睛呢，我们可以这样，我们先剪，也是剪一个3，把它做的可爱一点。然后这里要留一
So
点
let's make this pattern
你这样看到没有？
adorable, and make sure that you don't cut through the central axis. So this is simply
往这里，往这里。
leaving you the shape of the face. You have to go very close to the central axis
往这里剪，往上剪，往上剪。好，接下来
and don't cut through.
重要的一步啊，很多人
And now, a very important step
注意你的方向。还有
is to pay close attention to the direction
接下来现在
and make sure that the
眼睛的方向。
the edge of the scissor is pointed in the direction of the eyes of the pattern,
对，好，我们
just like this.
就是你想象
And let's cut a small triangle,
垂直对着中间，不要剪断，但是这是
and then make a sharp turn towards the central axis.
一刀对，一刀是垂直，对，
So the first cut is in the direction of the eye, then the second cut is towards the central axis,
垂直对着中轴线，就是这里，记得
towards the central axis.
不要剪断它，不要剪断它，哎呦，你就很
Don't cut through.
然后最后你看这儿不是刚才没有剪断吗？没有剪断，然后
So
再往上，你看一下，哎，往上，
Now you have to go further up, make a oval shape, and then cut through, and that is the nose of the pattern. Well, just help me out because I'm getting too nervous. All right.
帮你这个先加工一下。 帮它剪了，然后这个嘴巴的部分先剪掉，里面再
So now let's move on to the mouth.
对
Let's cut another small triangle here.
对，然后眼睛要自己剪啊，眼睛
And now you need to cut the eye of the panda.
眼熊猫的眼圈，对，然后接下来剪珠，我们这个就是用开刀法
So
剪进去一刀，
we just had the
开始你注意点
general shape of the eye. Now we have to work on the
终点，
eyeball.
哪里开始
So this is the starting point, and then bear in mind you have to finish at this starting point. All right, just like this.
在贴起来的时候，这条线看不见，对，可以剪得萌一点、大一点。
So make sure it has a very big eyes.
明白那个老师说为什么？我会觉得老师那个剪子里面可能有什么自动的程序。
对的。你转指啊，你不要转手，你还能哎。
So don't rotate with your scissor and rotate the paper.
待会儿把你贴起来。好，接下来我们要开始剪里面了，好吗？
And now we're gonna get to the very sophisticated part. And
我们先这里剪一刀，就是相当于把平
take a cut here.
这条线轮廓就是完成，
It's almost
但是不要断，留的距离大一点。
parallel with the lines
然后我
in
们
the head.
我们要剪，
Don't cut through. And now we have to rotate the
先剪一刀下，
paper
然后
like this.
这里留一点，我们就是先剪一刀下指，可能为一个爪子。你这个
This is just one pawn of the panda.
然后我们这里要剪一个这个
And now
叶子
you have to
不太友好。
you have to carve out the upper body of the panda, and this is
上面画个小爱
a
心，
little bit complex. You have to be very careful. Yours is just too small.
应该不是我的问题。
你刚刚说是刀的问题，现在是问题。
Well, this is the problem of the scissor or the paper. It's not my problem.
这个完蛋了。他俩怎么不在一起呢？你应该
So why
这就是一个
you cut it through?
一说，这轱辘切下来别播。
好，我们从
All right.
从这儿开始啊，因为四叶草嘛，你知道，因为这个是打开，它都是两个都是双瓣的。
So imagine what the shape will look like when you unfold this. So in theory, you have one piece here, another piece over there, and then you have to start from the
跟上面你要
lower part,
这样，
similar like the upper part, just like this.
懂吗？下面那一半，那我再抄。好，可以，
我这就是一剪到尖儿的事儿。
对。然后我们开始剪这个啊，
All right.
剪外面那两半啊，
Now let's move on to the
剪两。
outer part.
然后这个一半，好，他们不用合上，因为他们合上这个就没了。然后到这里，看到没有？像这样，
造型。
已经彻底放弃了嘛？这
Are you giving up? Don't give up.
这样子，啊，就是这样。
还有比我俩还笨的。
不能这么说。
Are we the most stupid students that you have ever taught? No, don't say that.
剪了吗？剪好了啊，好。然后我们从这儿，从这儿，对，给它绕出来。就其实也是沿着它
Cut it like this,
绕出来。然后我们
and
这个
then
基本上就是剪腿了，腿很好剪。
make sure that your scissor can come out.
腿是这样的，腿我们往里面，
For the legs, you have to go inside,
其实就是这里是我外面，
go almost in parallel with the central axis. So make sure you know how thick the leg of panel is. All right, don't cut through. And towards the center, and then all right, now let's cut it through towards the central axis. Just cut through. Good. The very final step, we are almost done, but we have to cut a little circle here. Cut a little triangle there. All right. Now let's unfold this. All right, this is a little adorable panel. Well, from what you're doing, I can tell it's very simple, but it's quite difficult if we do it on ourselves. So this is the nose. All right, let's put it on the paper. We can stick it on the paper. So I have to stick it very quickly, otherwise. All right, this is the glue. So when you are sticking them together, you have to be very careful with the glue. So because your nose is just very fragile, you have to be very careful. So just dip it gently. Don't leave too much glue. We're using a colorful paper. If you are using other very soft papers, it can be very sticky. I have to be very careful with your nose because it's too small. Well, your panel is a little bit too fat. All right, now the nose is safe. And now you can put it upside down and press it. It's done. Fantastic. So this is my homework. Do you like it? Fantastic. Just give it a little glue and that will suffice. And also leave some glue at the center. Stick them on the paper. And from the other side of the paper, it's also very beautiful. So we believe paper cutting is also a great exercise for senior citizens because it can train your physical coordination, and you're also practicing the coordination between your left hand and your right hand, and truly it's a great workout for senior citizens. And if you practice paper cutting often, you won't develop Alzheimer's disease. So we have a colleague who is now at the Changsam exhibition hall, and now I will give the floor to them. Thank you, Bingbing. Thank you to my colleagues. We are Lily. I'm from CGTN. My name is Sun Yumeng. I'm from CGTN. So you can see that we are dressing cheongsam or Chinese qipao. So today's program is definitely related to cheongsam. It's also related to CIIE. If you are watching TV, you know that Shanghai is currently hosting the China International Import and Export Exposition. And each and every year we have a part of the exhibition is about a non-tangible cultural heritage, and two of the exhibits are related to non-tangible cultural heritage, and these are two cheongsam dresses, and that have attracted a huge attention amongst visitors. And today we're going to bring you the story behind cheongsams. We are right now at the exhibition place of the Shanghai Non-Tangible Cultural Heritage. Let's bring up Mr. Gao, the chairman of Shanghai Non-Tangible Cultural Heritage Association. Hi, welcome. So this is the Association of Shanghai Non-Tangible Cultural Heritage Protection. So what is the purpose of your association? So this is a base of Shanghai Non-Tangible Cultural Heritage. We are committed to spreading the image of non-tangible cultural heritages and also preserving non-tangible cultural heritages. In 2013, we were among the first batch of organizations that were given the task of preserving the non-tangible cultural heritages in Shanghai. So we are publishing cultural heritages, we are researching and developing new techniques, and also marketing and spreading those non-tangible cultural skills. And we saw those two cheongsams at the CIIE, and these are just too beautiful. So now let's talk little by little into the details and the processes of cheongsam making. So you have to focus on the design, on the fabric, and also on the technique and the general style. So the fabric is very important. Fabric comes first if you want the cheongsam to be attractive. So tell us more about those fabrics displayed here. And this is wool. And now is the best season for wool. Well, I don't know that wool can be used for cheongsam. It's very soft. It's cashmere, and it's quite gentle, and it's friendly to the body. And cashmere is just too gentle a fabric, and it's very suitable in winter. And a lot of the times we're using silk as well. So what is this fabric? And this is also very popular in winter, and this is quite suitable on me. It will make my skin color very good. So towards the Republic of China area, and we believe that there is a problem with the embroidery, and the most striking problem is laundry. If you do laundry, you can simply damage the embroidery, and it's not suitable for you to put it in a washing machine. So that is why in the beginning years of the Republic of China period, influenced by Western cultures, and we used a lot of embroidery techniques, and you can see that it's actually inscribed on this surface. So that is making laundry much easier. So what about this one? So this is another imported fabric. We call it lace. And this is suitable in summer. And after the cheongsam is completed, you have to wear something inside because it's translucent. And it will avoid the sophisticated techniques of embroidery. And from an economic perspective, it's also much cheaper. So coming on to this side of the display, we have some techniques and skills, and now you can take a look at some more fabric options, and this one is suitable for senior citizens. So in winter, you can select some of these fabrics. So this is the very large scissor, and you have a ruler here. So I'm particularly attracted to this scarf, and it's just gorgeous. At the previous program, we talked about paper cutting, and are those paper cutting patterns? Yes, exactly, and this is the non-tangible cultural heritage in Shanghai at the national level. And this is reflecting the patterns of paper cutting, and it's just beautiful. And traditionally, it's just red and white. And we just renovated it a little bit, and we brought the pattern of paper cutting on silk. So we are also embedding some Western aesthetic elements. So it's quite harmonious on this cheongsam. Truly, it's a combination of both techniques and also both cultures. It's paper cutting plus silk patterns and also Chinese culture and Western culture. So if you take a look at those art pieces, and they are truly non-tangible cultural heritages, and they embed a lot of the memories from the past. If you take a closer look at the patterns, and these are the embroidery arts in Shanghai. It's one particular flower that is very commonly seen in Shanghai. And this is the typical woolen embroidery. And Mr. Gao has a great knowledge about the preservation and repairment of non-tangible cultural heritage, and later we're going to go to that. But right now, we are waiting to see the cheongsam, and this is the part that we are quite looking forward to. All right, fantastic, and this is just gorgeous. And this is a display room. Well, my assistant, she will give you more introduction. Thank you very much for joining us, and you are so beautiful. And joining me now is General Secretary Zheng Hong from the Shanghai Association of Non-Tangible Cultural Heritage Preservation. We are so impressed with your beautiful dress and how beautiful you are. And later, Madam Zheng is going to dress us up, and she's going to give us more introduction about cheongsam. So, Mr. Gao, can you pick up one or two cheongsam pieces and give us more introduction? So, these are Shanghai-style cheongsam, and it's quite representative of the Shanghai style. For example, these two pieces are designed and made by my team. They're different in terms of color. You can take a look at this one. We're talking about this one with a white foundation and flower patterns. So it's very harmonious, and you can see the drastic contrast of color, yet it's very harmonious and it's very coordinated. It's just as beautiful as the painting. So there's no fabric for this dress. It's like knitting a silk or silk knitting, and it's quite special, a technique in China. The technique was only used in the past for the royal family, and the dragon dress of the emperor is made using this technique. It's not using one whole piece of fabric or cloth, and it's knitted together one needle after another, and it's quite sophisticated. And traditionally, this technique is only used for making the dress on the emperor. It's very sophisticated. So this one truly, I can imagine the time it has consumed in the making process. Already it has been put in the exhibition. It has been collected by museums. And also we are using a lot of embroidery skills. And take a look at the color of the flower. And also there are paintings, there are embroidery, there are knitting. So one dress like this has embedded many different skills. For example, dyeing, drawing, painting, embroidery, and knitting. So on one piece of cheongsam, we are incorporating many different artistic skills. Truly, this is amazing, and it's just as beautiful as a flower. So what about this one? So this one is in a different technical roadmap, I would say. From a aesthetic view, there are two different approaches. The first is to make the object very conspicuous, and the other one is to make it less conspicuous, and this one is pushing the object away from your eyes. On the surface, you can see that we are using knitting, embroidery, and painting, three different skills, and also they combine with each other in a very harmonious manner. We're using some ink painting style of Shanghai. In general, it gives you this modern look. Take a look at the snow that is accumulated on the surface, and it seems that the snow is gonna melt, but it's not melting, and it's at the brink of melting, and it's just so beautiful. And this one, you can dress it on when you are meeting your friends, and the other one that we just saw, it can go along with a show on a stage, and you can impress the audience sitting in a theater. Well, we are dressed with two cheongsams, and we believed that we were attractive until we saw this. So maybe can you give us some comments? We're not dressing those very beautiful cheongsams, but Yumeng is dressed with this very beautiful dress, and so give her some comments. Well, I believe that you have added color to this cheongsam, and your cheongsam, in our eyes, is not very good. I believe there should not be the color of red. And this is heavy red or dark red, and it's not a very good color combination. So in principle, we'd prefer not adding the color of red to this cheongsam. But what's very lucky is that Yumeng is such a gorgeous lady, and she's making this cheongsam looking so gorgeous. So let me ask you, Madam Zeng, if we are talking about those authentic Shanghai style of cheongsam, and what is the process that we have to go through? For example, we know that you have to do those body measurements, and then we have to hear the advice of professionals. Maybe today we can take the advantage of this program, and we can maybe do some measurements and hear your professional advices. So Ms. Zheng, tell us something about the process. Well, Mr. Gao has talked a lot about it. I believe your dress is very good. There are some Shanghai style, but there are some details that have to be adjusted. You are a gorgeous TV anchor. You look very good. no matter what you're dressed with, I believe that you will look much more beautiful with a better cheongsam. You have seen a lot of fabrics, and you're looking very good. You're very young. And when you are selecting a cheongsam, you have to be very careful with the size of the cheongsam. And we're going to first do a measurement of your body. You have to customize your cheongsam. So you have to be very careful with the measurement. You have to measure 36 different parameters, and it's quite sophisticated. So maybe we can quickly go through this. We won't disclose those key parameters, make it confidential. You can see how slim and skinny she is. Well, let me just talk about one element. Look at her neck. The neck is just very beautiful, and so we're gonna measure the neck, the upper part of the neck, and also the lower part of the neck, and you have to be very accurate. And for her, she has to wear a cheongsam with the collar of 3.5 centimeters because her neck length is sufficient enough, and also this cheongsam is much wider. You have to go a little bit skinnier. All right, this is how we measure the neck. And we won't make it too tight because she has to be flexible when she is walking or bending down. And very importantly, we also measure the length of the shoulder. And there is some particular areas that you have to be very cautious. We are looking exactly at the joint between the shoulder and your arm. Well, let me ask you, if you don't have those very flat shoulders, you can appear very good with cheongsam. Well, there is a change of aesthetics on cheongsam. In the 1930s and 1940s, people believed that if you have flat shoulders, you look more beautiful. In Shanghai style of cheongsam, we borrowed some elements of this aesthetics. So that is why we sometimes add a cushion in the shoulder. So you said that you were influenced by the Western culture. I believe cheongsam is a combination of the traditional Manchuria dress with the Western style of aesthetics. So for Western ladies, they have wide shoulders. And right now, a lot of the girls in China, we would hope to have a wide shoulder, and it's quite different with the passage of time. All right, later we're gonna select one size of cheongsam for her, and just hold on, just be a little patient, and later she's gonna come back differently. And now I'm gonna do measurement on you. So you look quite grand and serious, unlike your colleague, and she looked very young and very lively, and you look serious, and you look like a typical beauty from the East. So you also have a very long neck. You have very good-looking shoulders. You also have a perfect body figure. So bear that in mind. I have very good body figure. And also you appear very confident. You have this temperament that you don't need a additional cheongsam to make you more beautiful. Well, what are you telling me? You're telling me that I don't need to go through the measurement? Well, because I already have your measurement, and I will later give you a dress. So, Mr. Gao, can you tell us more about the Shanghai style of cheongsam? We have been talking about the Shanghai style, and cheongsam is not only found in Shanghai, it's also found in many different places across China. So, tell me how different Shanghai style cheongsam is. Later, I will show you how different Shanghai style cheongsam is different from the Beijing style. In Beijing, most of the girls and ladies, they are wearing the Beijing style cheongsam. In the Yangtze River Delta area, most of the ladies are wearing Shanghai style cheongsams. You can take a look at those cheongsams here. You can feel the changes and evolvement and changes and evolution of the cheongsams. For example, this one here is the most standard version of Shanghai cheongsam. Take a look at the color. There is a perfect curve here, and this is just resembling the traditional Chinese silver money, and this is the most standard elements of Shanghai style cheongsam. There has been evolution of cheongsam with the passage of time, and this is one basic element. This is the gene of Shanghai style cheongsam. And take a look at these cheongsams, and they all have this similar color design. But there are changes, there are evolutions. For example, this one, and there is this wave-like curves at the upper part of the color, and this is just resembling the shapes of cloud. And there are some mild changes. And also, if you come here, you will see this style, and it's wide open at the top. And also, in terms of the manufacturing of the color, there are many different techniques, and there is a pattern decorated along the curve. And also, we also have two inlaid curves along the line, and there are some ornaments and additional decorations on the color. Well, after talking about the color, and I will talk about our colleague Yu Meng, and she is just beautiful. And I believe that this is truly different. Well, it's your wedding day. I can feel that the collar is a little bit taller. I don't have sleeves. And you can put this on your wedding day, and she is just like a bride, and well, I'll be dressed just like your friend. Well, I can feel that this is heavier. You said that I have something missing because I didn't know your measurements. We just saw your photo, and then we selected a cheongsam for you, and I believe that this dress goes very well with your shoes, and you can add a little ornaments because you're looking so beautiful today. You're dressed red today. I'm gonna select a very beautiful non-tangible cultural heritage piece, which is the Chinese style of bracelet, and also the patterns on it are very fashionable. Well, I believe this goes along with your style, with your body figure, and you also have very skinny fingers. I'm gonna put a ring on your finger, and it will go along very well with your dress. All right, this is perfect. And also, you can be a bride today. So what is the style of this cheongsam? So this is a dress on a happy occasion because take a look at the pattern. We have a peacock on a cheongsam. It's also in red color. This would be a perfect selection or perfect choice on a wedding day. And for the Shanghai style cheongsam, we can add a little bit of gray color to the surface. The aesthetic concept of Shanghai, we refrain from using heavy red or green color. And so here comes another gorgeous lady, another fairy lady. Well, this is a typical beauty from southern China. So are we in a beautiful combination? So Yumeng is unmarried, so we want her to have a brilliant future. And as I said, that your friend is very good looking. She has very good temperament. She looks very confident. When dressed with this cheongsam, she's just like a fairy lady. I like the patterns on the cheongsam. So, Mr. Gao, are those handmade? Yes, it's handmade. Each and every inch, and we are adding a lot of ornaments. So take a look at the color. It's light blue. So the feature of these two cheongsams, you can take a look at the color. Take a look at the color. Originally, we have a open slit that goes all the way from the neck to the side of your body. But this is the Shanghai style of cheongsam. Remember, I told you that we have been influenced by the West. In the end of 1930s, zippers were brought to China from the West, and most of the times the zipper is installed at the back. But right now, a lot of the zippers on cheongsams are just for ornament purposes, and we just removed those zippers, and this way it will look very simple from the front side. All right, fantastic. I didn't know that in the 1930s people started to use zippers, and just now Ms. Zheng gave me some rings, a bracelet. All right, I want our cameraman to zoom in a little bit, and this is the blue colored ring, and it's just very beautiful. And take a look at this ring. We got a pearl on it. We also got a lotus flower, a lotus leaf. It goes along very well with my cheongsam, and my cheongsam is in the color of light blue, and it goes along very well with the lotus leaf, and it's just very beautiful. So cheongsam can deliver this comprehensive general beauty. So we don't have any scarves here. You're not wearing any scarves here. All right. So thank you very much for dressing us up. Me and Yumeng, we are very lucky doing this program. If we want to customize for these two dresses, I believe they will be very expensive. And now we're going to talk about the history of evolution of cheongsams. And as a modern citizen, at what occasions should we address a cheongsam? Mr. Zheng, maybe you can give us more inside information, because you look like a gorgeous lady who has traveled through time and space. I wanted to give you a more introduction about the fabric and the technique of cheongsam and how it is related to the jewelry, and later Mr. Gao will talk to you more about the history of Changsam. And why don't we sit down and have some afternoon tea and have a conversation about the Shanghai style culture? All right, now let's move on to the tea room and let's sit down. It's a beautiful setting for afternoon tea, and thank you so very much for your considerate reception. And this is just a gorgeous setting, and Miss Zhang will make the tea for us, and tea making is just another profession of yours. And you have learned tea making, and I believe that you will give us very good tea this afternoon. And let me ask Mr. Gao. Before the program, we actually went over this book. It tells a lot about the history of Changsam. Mr. Gao, can you give us more introduction with this book? So this book is titled Clothing of China Throughout History. It was published a long time ago. It tells you the history of evolution of Chinese dresses. It goes all the way from Shang and Zhou dynasty and all the way to 1930s to the Republic of China period. There are a couple of chapters related to Changsam. So Changsam, as you might know, it was originated from the Manchuria dress. In the very beginning, Changsam was designed for both men and women. Why we call it qi pao in Chinese? Because in Manchuria, there are 8 banners, and banner is the English word for qi, and that's why we call it qi pao, or if I translate word by word, it's the dress for people from those different banners. So the Han Chinese just call it qi pao or Changsam. At the very beginning, the Changsams, they were very heavy, very thick in terms of the fabric they use, and the color is oftentimes in a shape of round. Why is that? Because the Manchurians, they live in northeastern part of China, and it's very cold, and this is simply to keep it warm. Now you can see that there are 2 pieces, and you can cover the left piece and the right part of your body, and we changed that over time. Most of the times, the collar or the zipper is attached to the right part of your body. So this is the old style of Changsam, and this one I'm showing you right now, that was worn by the Empress Dowager Cixi at her 60th anniversary, at her 60th birthday. But then the Yuanmingyuan, or the Summer Palace, was burned down by the joint forces of Britain and France, and this Changsam is now kept in a museum overseas. And this one is hand painted. And even from this painting, you can see how delicate and how sophisticated it is. And it has 60 butterflies, and you have to spend a lot of time counting these 60 butterflies. It's very beautiful, and you have to be very careful making this Changsam. And take a look at how bright the color is, how heavy or how strong the color is. But despite how strong the color is, now we have a light pattern in the color of white. Take a look at this line, and then we have the darker line, and the darker line is attached to the edges of the Changsam, so it doesn't give you the feeling that this is chaotic design. So this is the white pattern. So later when this program ends, we're gonna count it on our own and to see whether it does have 60 butterflies. And this is another dress of Empress Dowager Cixi. On the surface of this, it has 8 peacocks. In the front side, we have 5. So combined together, it has 8 peacocks. And also we have a darker pattern just to offset the colorful designs and patterns of the dress. So you said there are 120 butterflies on this dress. Is that where the inspiration of the cheongsam that you displayed, that the CIIE from? Yes, I used 100 butterflies. Why? Because this year is 2021, and cheongsam, the Shanghai style cheongsam, this year has the history of 100 years. So that is why I used 100 butterflies, and it represents the 100 years of history that cheongsam has traveled through. And also those butterflies, they are in different colors. So I want to show the diverse styles of cheongsam with those 100 butterflies. So tell us more about the technique of the blue butterfly cheongsam that was displayed at CIIE. So I have 2 pieces of cheongsam that I displayed at the CIIE, and one is using black butterfly, and the other one is using the light blue color. Well, I actually have a photo here. This one is in dark color, so I have to dye the fabric in a very cautious manner, in a very meticulous manner. I want to demonstrate the changing and diverse feature of Shanghai style cheongsam. I think change is the key word for Shanghai cheongsam. The pattern has been changing, and the overall style has been changing. So this color, if you take a closer look, is quite different from the round curved color. It's much more open, and you can also put on a necklace. The necklace will go along very well with the cheongsam. So this one is very down to earth. You can actually dress it and walk on the street outside, and no one will find any strange. We're talking about the design of this cheongsam. I have another story to share with you. Well, I see that a lot of the cheongsams, they have a big slit that is open at the side part of your legs. And why is that? Well, no matter it is the Beijing style cheongsam or the Shanghai style cheongsam, and this one that I'm showing is Beijing style, and this one too, Beijing style. So this is quite similar to the ancient dress style of Manchuria. So you can see that this is a cheongsam with a very long slit. So because traditionally those Manchuria people, they have to ride horses. Even those females, they have to ride horses, or they have to board on a horse wagon. So it has evolved. It has evolved over the passage of time, but traditionally there were these slits. And traditionally they don't do measurements, and it's design or cutting on a surface, on a flat surface. So they have to fold it in square and put it in a box. And towards the Republic of China period, influenced by Western cultures. Ladies in Shanghai felt the beauty of curves. Well, can you show us the journey of evolution? And you talked about this evolution by time, and we are like seeing a picture along the timeline. Well, here we have a photo gallery like this. I have collected the cheongsam through different periods of history, and this is late Qing Dynasty, 1920s, early 1920s, late 1920s, early 1930s, and late 1930s. So gradually, you can see that the lines are changing from straight to curved lines. Here you can see that the lines has curved a little bit. It's actually very obvious. And now take a look at this one. There is one slit, and then there is no slit. Take a look at this one. The slit is very short. And also take a look at the sleeves. The sleeves design has changed over time. The same goes with the colors. And towards the very end, we even have cheongsams without colors. The blue one that I was wearing just now, it has the tail of fish, and this is just similar to the dress in the West. And just take a look at the sleeve of Miss Zheng, and so Miss Zheng, you can serve us more tea, I believe, and this sleeve design is just very suitable for tea ceremonies. Well, let me change your teeth a little bit. So it's a vivid explanation of the evolution of cheongsam. And from the very beginning, it's just the clothing worn by the Manchuria in winter, and gradually it has evolved over time. And take a look at this one, the slit. Take a look at this one. So this is the Beijing style cheongsam, and this one is the Shanghai style cheongsam, and it's very representative of the Shanghai style. Just feel the beauty of curves, and also take a look at how it's highlighting the color of skin and also the curve of your body, and also the slit is very long. It goes up all the way to your butt. A lot of you may think that the ladies at the time in Shanghai were very open. Was that not the case? Well, actually, it's not the case. Do you know the reason why? Is it for comfortable concerns? Is it for comfort concerns? Well, no, this is not the reason. The reason is that in 1933, Western culture started to move into Shanghai, to China at large. And during that period of time, there was a major change in clothing. So our cameraman will just zoom in. So traditionally, the ladies wear gowns behind this cheongsam. And in the 1930s, the translucent stockings from West were imported to China. So it's almost in the color of your skin. And if you have a translucent or transparent stocking, and that is a proof that you are from a upper social class, and that's very popular at the time. So when you have that, you have to show. You have to show it off to people. So that's why you have a slit and a transom. Well, if you just roll up the sleeves, roll up the transom and show people the stocking, and that's not realistic, and so that's why people started to attach these slits on transoms, and the slits goes upper and longer, and the purpose is for people to show that they have a stocking. Well, it reminds me of the movies that I saw, and a lot of the transoms worn by those ladies in Shanghai, and truly, those ladies, they were also wearing stockings inside. So what about this one? Well, let's turn it around to show the camera. And this is by Chen Yifei, an artist that has passed away. And this is a painting by Mr. Chen, a close friend of mine. He's the painter. I was the designer of transom, and I designed all those transom for her models. And she found some models, and I just selected some transom for those models, so she could take some photos and then came up with some paintings. I selected this as the case to share with all of you. I don't know how many of you have noticed. Take a look at this slit, and it's very wide and it's very long, a slit. So what is the story behind this? At that time, the slit wasn't so long, but Chen Yifei is a very romantic artist, and he believed that the beauty of a lady can be demonstrated from all sides and all areas, and he believed that if we can move the slit further up to the butt, then the lady would appear more beautiful. So when he was painting, he actually changed a little bit. This is artistic design, and when I saw that, I wasn't happy from the very beginning, because from a academic perspective, in the 1930s and 40s, that was a time when women are not wearing stockings, and there was not the costume for women to show their legs. So I told Mr. Chen that this is too much. This is way too much, and this is too against the real picture of history. So Chen's painting was actually very realistic. Take a look at how the woman was holding the flute. And take a look at her fingers and also the long flute. And these two ladies, they were professors from a music school. So this is a very realistic picture. We're using real figures. And these two ladies, and they were truly professors from music schools. So this is such a realistic scene. But he came up with such a painting with such a long slit on a dress. So we had a strong disagreement. But a couple of days later, he called me and he said that I have a way out that can safeguard your own academic principles and also satisfy my artistic romance. So that is why we come up with this solution. Still, he had the slit. He simply attached a skin color stocking inside. So this is making her leg much more beautiful, and it has a soft or dispute. So now you are both happy for this. Yes, so this is the disagreement I had with Mr. Chen, and this is about the slits of transom. So I very much want to talk to you about the butterfly design on a transom, and you said that it's hand painted and hand knit. So you also engaged heavily in the repairment of cheongsam, and we were very curious on how you repair or mend the traditional clothing. So the objects from Chinese history that is very difficult to be preserved is cheongsam. If we're talking about a bronzeware or jade piece, they can be well preserved even after thousands of years. If we talk about the bronzeware, it can go rust, but the patterns are still there. The overall shape is there, and if we talk about the channelware piece, and even after it becomes debris, it can be glued together, and we can recover their original shapes. But silk clothing or silk products, after buried underground for thousands of years, you can hardly recover its original looks. If after 2,000 years, if the clothing was kept in a coffin and the coffin was soaking in water, and after excavated, after digging out from underground, the color may change and it may disappear. If you go to the terracotta warriors in Xi'an, there were a lot of pottery pieces, and those pottery pieces, and they were very colorful when they were buried underground. There were coffee-colored uniforms, even their faces, they were in different colors. So the color is no longer there when those antiques or art pieces were excavated, because after a long time, it gets oxidized. Originally, in a color, there is a element of lead. The situation is much worse if we talk about silk products. They were colorful in the very beginning, and after 2,000 years, 3,000 years, when it got dug out, there is no color left. If we are lucky, we can still feel the fabric of the clothing, but the fabric would go rotten. So how do you come to the judgment what was its original color? Well, you have to use a lot of analytical tools, and you have to analyze what color it was having 2,000 years ago, and we were doing a lot of researches. If it's 500 years ago, in Ming Dynasty, for example, the Ding tombs, which was a royal tomb, and when it was dug out, the clothing was rotten. So we worked with the team to research into the color of the clothing. We used a lot of, for example, technologies, what fabric it was, what was the color 500 years ago, and then we recovered all the different pieces. So we first researched into the fabric of the clothing, and then we analyzed the color. So today we are very lucky, and we're in such a great times. We're having great technologies in preserving the traditional Chinese culture, and right now we have a lot of options. We can select many different fabrics, and we can select many different styles of cheongsams, and Ms. Cheng showed us two very best cheongsams, and we are dressing those cheongsams. Ms. Zheng, you yourself, you are dressed with a cheongsam, and let me ask you, at what occasions the cheongsam is the best choice? And I know my colleague is dressed with a cheongsam that is suitable for dressing for wedding. So, in addition to wedding, what are the other occasions that Chinese can put on cheongsams? Well, I believe that each year at the Chinese Gaokao or college entrance examinations, the parents, they are all wearing cheongsams with long slits on the side of the dress. This is simply to copy the pronunciation of the cheongsam, and they hope that their children can have very good result of the examination. So Miss Zheng in Shanghai, so are there a lot of young girls who dress Changsem on the street? Well, the young ladies, they all love Changsem, and you were wearing a Changsem in the beginning part of this program, and then you changed, and you now look much more beautiful. So in Shanghai, a lot of the ladies, they love Changsem, and Changsem is part of their genes, and this is the traditional Chinese way of dressing for the females. So how can we incorporate Changsem in our urban daily life today? So I actually grew up wearing Changsem. I participated in a lot of international shows. I'm engaged in a lot of international etiquette competition. I'm wearing Changsem. I'm giving a lot of tea ceremony shows to a lot of international audience. I believe that Changsem is truly a great option, a great choice when you go to some high-end international shows or stages. And Mr. Gao brought you to all the way from there to over here. So you saw that we are changing in terms of fabric. We are not merely using silk. We are using cashmere. We are using wool. Inner Mongolia is the home for the best cashmere in the world. So cashmere goes very well with your body. It's not that tight, and it's can breathe in air from the outside. And also, in the future, if you have opportunities, you can follow on the new designs of Mr. Gao, and we are sometimes even using the jeans fabric for Changsem. At the important occasions, for example, the graduation ceremony of your kids, there can be a lot of Changsem styles for the parents. Yes, we've seen a lot of changes of design, and there are many different designs coming onto the market. And do we have some of those designs available? Yes, we are keeping an eye on those new designs on the market. In Shanghai, we have a dozen of schools and universities, and they are dressed with different types of Chinese clothing. Some of them, they are borrowing a lot of elements from Changsem, and they added a lot of designs, new designs. Well, maybe you can come up with a Changsem design for our TV station. So I'm from Shanghai. I'm a local here from Shanghai. I have strong feelings on Changsem, and talking to Mr. Gao and hearing so much about Changsem, and Miss Zheng is just so gorgeous, so beautiful. I won't disclose to our audience your real age, but I asked her, how come you are looking so young? And she told me that she loves Changsem, and this is just beautiful. So when I'm wearing T-shirt or jeans, I just feel very sloppy. But today, when I'm wearing Changsem, I feel that I'm cheered up. So Meng, a lot of young girls like Meng. I believe that you can have a try with Changsem, and we have very comfortable fabric. We have very trendy designs, and it will not make it hard for you to walk on the street or do some office works. I know that there are Changsem style coats. Sometimes the Changsem can be designed in a suit style, and also Changsem can go along with very well with those ornaments. For example, cloisonné and jewelry and gemstone. So they go along very well. So bearing in mind the Changsem, was, in the very beginning, a product of Eastern-Western culture convergence. So today we are talking about the preservation and development of non-tangible cultural heritage, and we are having a conversation with the master of the cheongsam, Mr. Gao, who designed this 100 butterfly cheongsam. So in the future, I hope that no matter if you are from Shanghai or not, you can have a try with cheongsam. In particular, those young ladies, you can put on cheongsam, take to the street, and show your beauty to all of us. So Meng Meng, let me ask you, we are getting to the very end of this program. So what kind of cheongsam you would, what kind of occasion you would select the cheongsam? Well, I believe that cheongsam fits whatever occasion that we are talking about. So Mr. Gao, do you have any final piece of advice? Well, I believe she should wear a cheongsam at work and in her life, so she can take the lead of pioneering a new clothing trend. You can become an ambassador of cheongsam, and I believe that each and every girl should become an ambassador of Chinese dress of cheongsam. I believe this is the case, and this should be the case. I believe that we should all have a cheongsam. I hope that all the ladies can turn more beautiful. All right, this is the end of today's program, and thank you very much for spending time getting to know the Shanghai style cheongsam. And we are broadcasting this program live from the alleyway in Shanghai. We're having a conversation with time and space. In the next few days, this Shanghai style mobile cafe shop will give you more stories, and you have more opportunities and chances seeing me and Meng Meng dressed with cheongsam on other occasions. All right, stay tuned. Thank you very much to Gao and Miss Zheng. Thank you all. Bye.